use both hammers.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it's really quick in succession.
I reused the animation for the samurai nunchucks. They didn't animate, but
Yeah.
it's quite cool.
Can we sneak a buff in there without saying anything?
Not now.
You could double the damage and they would still be useless.
I think it was like barely better than like a rune sim.
Well, what I would do is you would half the damage and just split it across the 2 hits, basically.
Okay, and they would both show up at the exact same tick, of course, right? So
Yeah, there would just be 2 separate hit splats.
okay,
I mean,
just
I can
imagine
understand why. But it would give you. It would change nothing.
this sounds like
Apart from vengeance, it would affect
give
vengeance.
you some time.
Things like
Ooh.
vengeance, it would affect because obviously you'd only vengeance against one of the 2 hits.
That's almost
Anything that recoils, that sort of thing.
that's almost useful enough to make them go up like 3k. But there you go. Okay, cool. Reddit, can you remove the ability to place cannons at ZMI?
Reddit replies no.
Yeah.
Well, Reddit can't, but we can, and we did. So I kind of got Mod Ash to fix it, and I went around and destroyed about half a dozen cannons manually. So they now have to go back and collect them from the dwarf.
Nice.
Right. Sounds fair. I'm going to grab one from the chat here. Tanky says, do you plan on fixing safe spots when bank fighting in dead man mode? The player that is bank standing, the other player can stand in the spot where they can't be attacked back. Okay, so that's not particularly certain spots relative to the banks in dead man. That's more just several spots found all around all of Old School. Or am I wrong? Anybody
What's the
else not
issue?
following this? Okay, so basically, it's really weird. It's hard to explain. If I have frozen somebody next to, say, a bank or a tree or something that they can't walk through, and then I walk onto a certain tile that's typically like right diagonal to them, sometimes I can continue to hit them and they can't fight back. It says like you can't reach that or whatever.
Even with like melee.
Yeah, with range magic or anything, but I can continue to attack them. There's a few spots you can use in Last Man Standing was particularly useful, and they're finding it, I guess, abusable here in Dead Man now. Any idea why that might be?
I'm not sure. It would have to be looked into. It sounds, frankly, it sounds like a bug.
I could.
If they're both using the same weapon, they're both have the same attack range.
Yeah.
If one can attack the other player should be able to attack back, as long as the stun isn't stopping them from attacking. So.
I'll try to remember tomorrow. I will remember it. That's not on my paper.
Oh, you've got this thing where you can write them down.
That's so much effort.
A pen.
I'm just gonna.
Fancy new tech.
I'll remember what this circle means. There you go. I'll look into it. I'll show you an example of it, and then we can decide.
We can see what's going on.
Cool. Moving on. Sully says, can you make the gnomish firelighter act as a normal tinderbox?
Not without a rewrite to fall of fire making.
It's got to tie into a billion places for that to work.
For that reason, any tinderbox used outside of fire making, it would also have to be tied into, which is a lot of places all around the game. And instead of saying, do you have a tinderbox on, you would have to start saying, do you have a tinderbox? Or do you have a gnomish firelighter? And update all those. In terms of fire making, the code is not pleasant and would have to actually be changed in structure to allow that to happen. We also don't have we could do it, but it's a lot of effort.
Yeah, a lot of effort
Currently,
for very little gain, I think. It's
purely cosmetic, isn't it? It's just so you can see it in your hand.
And I think it would be cool if you could. I mean, I wanted to do that, but yeah, it's just in a situation where it's more time than it's worth, in my opinion. Mod lazy, yep. In this case, I was willing to accept it, but if you saw it, you wouldn't want to do it.
Russ, another one that was popular this week. Make demonic guerrilla hitboxes larger, please.
They've asked that a few times, haven't they? I'm not too sure what the problem is with them, but I think it might be graphical to do with how you can click on them. Because I've heard Ghost talk about it before.
Click zone is on the model size. Yeah. Because the click zone attempts to follow where the model is. Yeah, and maybe it's moving about. What's up?
I don't know why my mic hasn't been on.
Your mic hasn't been on.
Why have I only just been informed my mic is on? It was on.
How did you turn it
brilliant.
off?
Low battery.
touching.
I'll yell for the rest of the stream.
Just blame
So
Roman.
yeah, the click zone is model side.
I think it might be due to the size.
If there's certain angles where you can't see the polys correctly, that sort of thing. Generally, a lot of the time, what we do is add an invisible poly that's massive that you can
I
easily
think the
click
problem
on.
with that model is that it's really big in the editor and it's been shrunk down in code for some reason.
An Alfie special. That one was.
It's so big.
In fact, it's stood up in the its default position is stood up, despite the fact it's a gorilla that sits down. It's like stands up and it's huge and looks completely out of proportion.
Hey, we should be good.
But we can look at that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to click on them a lot when you're switching styles.
Yeah.
Could be annoying.
All right. Tap is good. Says, can we have teaks and mahoganies in the woodcutting guild?
Where's Jed?
Working on the Halloween event.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's kind of nice to have different places to have those trees, to be honest, like the place Apatol and Taibo One Eye as well.
Yeah, they seem sort of like.
They seem adequate to be there as opposed to being shoved on the corner of
You're in the
Zaya.
right
Yeah,
climate.
I personally think that the Woodcutting Guild's got enough attraction to go there already, and
I think
having to
the
go
chat-
elsewhere for those makes sense.
The chat is agreeing, I think, for the most part.
I would like to add farming for those trees at some point, though.
Be cool.
Okay. J-Dot says, can you change the untradeable spade clue scroll reward to be wielded like the spade from the Gravedigger random event instead of like a god sword?
How does the guy from the Gravedigger hold
Like a
it?
two-handed sword?
He hold
I
Slap on
think
his
that
shoulder.
should be fairly easy to do.
Yeah,
It's a shame, though, 'cause it's
but
wasted
I just
after.
like the gold
it
sword
looks so much
animation.
cooler.
Can we get a toggle option?
Toggle scope.
No.
How about a metamorphosis on it? There you go.
Can you change the like idle animation that way? Oh, I guess it just changed item, wouldn't it?
It would have to be a different object, or add
guess-
in as exceptions into the code.
I guess we could pull it and see. It's not a big change to make.
I personally think
I wouldn't bother
having
pulling
the
that.
God Sword spade is way cooler than having a 2H sword
Yeah.
spade.
Maybe it's more the attack animation. Sorry, we're dragging on this question. Is it the attack animation has a god sword one, right? So it's kind of like the
They all,
The
it's
thing,
just,
right?
It essentially is just a god sword that is a spade with really bad stats.
right.
It's a god spade.
So it does all the defend, the attack, and the idle animation, and the run and walk.
Ooh. Okay. Well, I'll leave that to you then. Let's grab one from the chat. Froza says, will the old Halloween skin colors come back with the Halloween event?
They will indeed. You will be able to get all of the rewards from previous Halloween events. So I've seen people asking about the POH wall kit. Yep, that will be included. The skin colours, the Gravedigger costume, all the stuff from the past events. And towards the end of the stream, you'll get to see some of the new stuff you'll get.
Ooh.
That wall kit, I really like that wall kit. It's my favourite wall kit we have.
All right.
Have it in my BOH. It's lovely.
Almost forgot to mention.
You also get two of the. You'll get two of all the
yes.
consumable ones, like the Halloween mask,
yeah, pumpkin.
those sort of things. And throughout all of Halloween, we'll do the usual thing where we have our events and do GMod events where we're spawning them around the game. So you'll be able to go and get them like that as well.
Yeah, stay tuned to the end of the Q&A for a sneak peek of the week from Mod West. Should we spoil what it is?
Now we'll keep it to the end.
Keep it a secret?
It's Halloween
Oh, that's
rewards, but that's about
Well, that's
all
what you
you'll
just
get.
said
Well, last
exactly
year-
what it is.
Should we keep it a
Did you just-
secret?
wait.
It's Halloween.
Well, I've kind of already said that you get to see the new rewards, so at the end. So
Well, telling them that as a Halloween reward would have told them absolutely nothing last year, because last year we gave them a pair of boxes.
yeah,
From
to be
Anti-Santa.
fair, yeah, Halloween reward. Here's some pants. Yeah, it's not exactly what you picture. but,
Exactly.
yeah, I think they're really awesome. So definitely stay tuned to check them out.
All right.
That's the greatest bug. Those
Where
boxes are shorts. Have you seen this?
I haven't.
I believe we actually have the picture saved, but basically when you did the setup emote, a large protrusion came out of your, like, this area and pointed up, which was quite hilarious. We had to get that one fixed just because of how it looked.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, if you did it on a female account, you got two.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Next question. Oops says, when is the Ballista nerf coming? That I have actually put a job in for Mod Ghost a long time ago, but I didn't put it as a very high priority. He's very, very, very busy. I'm going to give him a poke because, you know, a lot of people are very upset about this, and to be honest, it is a bug. So
Yeah, it's just graphics have been so busy, right?
I did have a look
It's just
at
the delay.
animation. It's just a really long animation, isn't it? It's too long for the attack speed.
So in terms of like people worrying about the nerf, it's not going to be drastically worse. It's just going to have the delay. So really, that it's just not so OP with the Grenade.
We know it's important though, and we'll try and get it done and fit it in.
Yeah. Okay, another one from Oops here says, can you make the Slayer helm imbued, break on death, and be repaired with coins so that we can PK with it without risking a 500k item?
Thoughts?
I quite like the idea of just risking the 500k.
I think you should be risking the 500k personally. Because all the other items that have a tradable version, essentially, will convert to that tradable version.
My worry here is 30 defense peers who have built their account for this exact situation can't use the item because they're not going to risk 500k for their average fight, which is risking 50k.
Yeah.
Right. That's all.
But is that not then for them to use a PvP world to find a risk fight that has
Yeah.
a GP risk instead, as opposed to World 18?
If they don't want to risk that much, find a better helm. Or a helm that doesn't cost 500k.
Unfortunately,
Train some defense.
our community isn't in
Get
favor
40
of
defense,
popping
then you can
peers.
wear a rune helm.
I tried.
I promise it's good.
Bosnian has a question here saying, the blowpipe has the highest damage per second in game. With the soon-to-come release of Rigor, it will be so strong of a weapon that it'll be used for most bosses. Will anything be done to balance it? It's a very good question, actually.
Dart-proof monsters.
No, I think we could either cap the damage, but we've only ever done that with the dark bow, and that just is just a little
And
weird.
the Trident.
And the Trident, right. What we did with PvP, of course, is we made it significantly slower. That was a very substantial nerf. It really
We
depends.
will monitor it. I mean, we'll keep an eye on it, and if it does become a concern, we'll look to see what we can do.
Right. Where have we gone to here? Rusp says, make it so Protect from Magic doesn't have the duration of standard spellbook bind spells.
I think that... Do you think it'd be a good change for Deadman? I think it would have an interesting effect.
I think for Deadman, yes. For normal, no, because that's just the way it is. But with Deadman, it's a very expensive spell. And the problem here is like it deals like 1 damage or 0s or 2s maybe.
Yep.
And it still is only half the time of a normal freeze. It's just bad, right?
Barrages are so much better.
Yeah. It's
So
a
it would
minor,
make the normal spellbook viable. It doesn't make... It would take away from Ancients being so vital to PKing a Deadman. So...
and you need a lot more runes in your inventory to PK with normals. There's so many downsides to it, but this will at least make it a little bit viable.
No, of course we could go down the route of saying in normal worlds it does, but
if we pull that one, I'd be hesitant if that would.
I would prefer to keep the behaviour consistent between the two games.
Okay. That's the thing is that if we pulled it for Deadman, I think it would pass. If we pulled it for normal, I'm not sure. So.
But
That's
in terms of the idea, I think it would help Deadman though. So.
Is something like that not something we can try in Last Man Standing and see what effects it has, or?
Potentially. It should
Last
be,
Man Standing needs to be busier.
Yeah.
Really. You know what? I'm going to put a thing saying I'm going to look into that because I want to follow that one up. And there's going to be a discussion on Reddit, and we'll chase it. All right. No Jojo says, can you add Morrigan's javelins and axes?
You were really not handling this pen situation very well.
Yeah.
And watch the chat explode.
I've lost my thought here. Can you add Morrigan's axes and javelins to the Bounty Hunter store to give ranged-based PKers more variety in special weapons?
Oh. What do you guys
My
think?
main concern is that they've got the ballista already, haven't they? So...
That's not a special weapon, though.
I don't remember what the specials
And we're
were.
about to nerf it. The only special weapon they have really is the dark bow and maybe magic short bow occasionally.
I think it could add some variety. I think it'd be interesting to balance.
The
Thing
game's
is,
changed a lot since they were originally added, but
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult at the minute to say, oh yeah, these were added previously, let's just add them again, because yeah, the entire dynamic of combat is very different compared to when they were first added. So it wouldn't be a trivial thing to do.
I'm always up for more variety in terms of spec weapons.
Yeah.
Whether that's these or something else. Like,
I think put a tick and we'll to look into. I think it's worth it.
Okay. Happily see that, but I know there's a lot of people who are very against that stuff. Right, let's jump to the next question then. Actually, let's grab one from the chat. Lucas says, what is the plan for the future of the economy? Some items are flooding the market, and if this continues, all of the prices will continue to decrease. All the prices?
Well,
like everything.
The economy changes with every update, and we do monitor it with every update and try to kind of
where we
help
can,
adjust.
I think
but, I
we
mean,
do
it's-
do it.
We've done very well with gold sinks lately. Last been sending some bills. The construction update sunk even more.
Item sinks are a lot harder than coin sinks, I find.
I mean,
Because
ultimately,
they have to be something specific for every item, basically.
ultimately as well, the economy is something that the players control so much, and we can try and tweak it and keep it in check, but changes we make can be thrown back the next day by what the players do. So it's a very difficult situation, but we do keep monitoring them. If specific instances come up, do let us know, and hopefully we'd be able to look into it.
Right. Right, back over here. Urical says, why weren't we told we wouldn't get a dwarf to auto-fix the cog at Blast Furnace?
It was more of a case of the actions to keep the furnace going. We wanted to place a dwarf on, but the ability where you still have to fix it, still be player based. So that was completely intentional.
You can't abuse that as well. I mean, one of the reasons we added the dwarves in the first place was that players were abusing the fact they could go to any world and crash them and make blast furnace run inefficiently by constantly pumping too much. So you can't fix a cog too much, can you? Because you do it once and it's fixed.
Right.
So ultimately, a player can do that and not cause any negative behaviour.
Okay.
I worded that terribly, but
we got there. Taka Doxa says, can a photo booth be added near the makeover mage to take pictures of chat heads for the forums?
Lovely to have, horrific to do. It's a lot of work for not just us, but web and the stuff that just because it's an RS3 doesn't mean it can come across easily into old school.
It would need to be combined into the system that they already have for RS3 avatars, and maybe there need to be a setting to say use your RS3 avatar or your old school avatar, and that's not going to be a simple thing to add. As much as I'd like to see old school avatars on the forums, that'd be awesome, but
a lot of that is out of our control as something we can't do within the Oldscape team. It's, web have to get involved.
I don't think enough people use the forums really to go and warrant the time to do that.
That's the bottom line. All right. Oh boy, this is a fun one. Address boxing in dead man mode. Yeah, this isn't, well, there's several questions, but I thought it's worth addressing because it's a big deal. So we have two ways of going about fixing this. Of course, we tried a third option. That was with the tournament of the last season, and that's just simply not something that I'm able to dedicate all of my time 24/7 to monitoring and moderating rather. So the other option is to really just fix it. So our two options that we can think of, maybe if you guys can think of other suggestions, we can look into them for sure. First one is potentially making it so that if a player is boxing or in combat with just another player, not monster, their skull timer doesn't go down. So this obviously takes away incentive to box, would help quite a bit. The situation, of course, would be if I wanted to box with Tom, for example, I would just take a break from it, and then if we see a white dot on the mini-map, we get right back into boxing. So, it's not a bad idea. I like it.
It would help, possibly.
It's not a fix everything guaranteed.
It means your skull wouldn't continue going down if you want to actually fight legit.
Right.
But
chat likes that.
For the most part, you're not going to be in a fight constantly, are you?
The other option is removing the PJ timer as a whole, meaning players can't box with level 3 alts. They will need another person physically
What
there.
about if we don't just
box.
stop it from going down, but we made it go up a little bit?
You'd have to determine that they're actually boxing and not in an actual fight.
I mean, even if you're in an actual fight, it goes up slowly while you're in the actual fight. So instead of counting down, it counts up, rather than jumping to 30 minutes.
I mean, if they attack somebody new that's unskilled anyways, their timer jumps right back up to 30 minutes.
Yes. So if you're boxing, and it just goes up slowly, meaning you have no benefit to doing boxing, and even if you just box while there's people nearby, you're still going to put your skill up.
That, if they're getting attacked by a team, one of the best things you can do is to fight back, and they won't want to fight back. I can see some negatives there. Let's actually look at this second suggestion though. So removing the PJ timer as a whole is obviously the easy way. We did the first 2 seasons without the PJ timer, and they went quite well, but boxing has become a bigger deal. So basically the problem right now is I can have an alt, I can create a second account, have it follow me around, and then if I see danger, I just box that account. Nobody else can do anything. This way you'd actually have to be physically fighting that person back, otherwise that's the PJ timer, right? So you would have to have somebody of equal combat level. So you'd want to PK with a friend, really. Dobby dies.
There's an issue, isn't there? Because having a PJ timer makes boxing worse. Not having a PJ timer means you're a lot more susceptible to clans and single way.
It doesn't really help solo people.
They both sort of counteract each other, but both of them are sort of big issues. There's not an easy solution, really.
I mean, there's a lot of support for the first option.
Clever.
There's a lot of support for the first option. Do you
should
know
help. I think it'll help.
If that would be something we'd be able to do relatively quickly, or is that like a huge job?
I think we could do it.
That's the attitude.
I think we should be able to do that.
All right, I like that one. Let's try to make that happen then.
Put a big star.
Yeah. Okay. Tux says, how about a Redwood shortbow and longbow? Just make it a level stronger than the magic shortbow.
I think the thing is with Redwood is that it would be kind of nice to use that into a specific bow as opposed to just a Redwood bow, like tie it in with something else. Like quite often players will turn around and go, well, why don't you just use a bow and a kraken tentacle that you can turn into a bowstring to make this other bow? And
circle.
Or even that, something like reinforcing your circle with Redwood to make it something, or just anything that's not just a standard Redwood bow, I think would be much nicer.
If we could make them fletchable as well, it would increase the speed of fletching, which is already pretty fast.
I want to do small stuff with Redwood. But it's about finding the right thing.
Yeah.
The special attack, we've tried for hours trying to think of a unique, new special attack for something range related.
If we were going to make it the next shortbow and longbow, I'd probably go with the same spec the magic ones have, for the sake of it.
So just slightly better then?
It would just be basically a stronger magic bow for higher levels.
Cool.
But
that makes
the magic
sense,
bow's
really.
pretty good anyway.
They've also been looking for a short bow that can fire dragon arrows. That's a popularly suggested idea.
That would probably cover that, wouldn't it? It would do that.
Oh, I definitely agree. Redwood deserves a decent, unique bow rather than just another generic.
It's a question of is there space for it? I mean, will it fit? It's a balancing thing, yeah.
Not too worried about magic short bows, although they have remained iconic.
Basically cost nothing.
Right.
They're alc price, aren't they? So
yeah, but so would this. This would be alc price as well.
The Armored crossbow is only going to be worse. It's already bad as it is.
I saw a suggestion there saying a disarm special attack. So
that's so annoying.
Unequips their weapon.
It'd
be good to someone in spec though. If they get it for an HS spec. It's like,
you would just have the same tactic to use it. You'd do what you do at Kale Sally, and you would take vile food or food in bowls because you're gonna not have in the inventory.
You're just going to see people PKing with curry and stews.
I would just literally walk around.
Specking people for fun.
Person. Somebody else would do this. Walk around Edgefield and just literally hit everybody.
Someone over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Done. Okay. Let's grab one from the chat. Hyam says, can you get rid of the strength reward option crossing barriers in Puro Puro? We said we wanted to do this, but we didn't do it, so.
I would happily pull doing that.
Yeah. Making a note.
Your strength level still
Changing
affects
the
how
game.
fast you go through, though, I believe.
All right. Hambone says, when will the Ring of Coins be available to be used in free-to-play worlds?
Oh yeah, we wanted to do that, didn't we? Star, right? So we don't forget.
I was kind of curious, actually, because this would be maybe the only members item that you'd be able to actually use in free-to-play worlds that wouldn't actually be physically
Well, no, I wouldn't make it a
available.
free-to-play item.
Right, so how does that work?
you take members equals yes off the config.
So they could so free-to-play could actually get the item.
Sorry?
So, they could
So that free-to-play could actually trade it and
free.
get it.
Really? Is that what we want to do with it?
I wouldn't mind doing that.
Okay. Didn't think we could do that.
We did it with like all the God Wars. You know, the God rune items.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what we did with
that's
those.
right.
We made them free-to-play.
All right. Well, I look slow now. That's cool.
And then the Ring of Nature as well in the same vein.
Nowhere says, I disconnected when fighting a superior Slayer monster, but when I logged back in and tried to attack it, it said that is not your superior creature. Can this be fixed?
Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about it. The superior mob knows who spawned it, but that ID for you is not permanent. So if you log out and log back in, you get a different one, and hence it's not going to be able to say you're the same player. It's going to think you're someone else.
Yeah. Nowhere says, Very says, when will the Halloween event be released?
Next week.
Is the aim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hear the confidence in
Before,
Jake's voice, right?
before
Judge watching the stream upstairs crying like, no.
October the 31st.
Yeah, the aim is for next week, but yeah, it's still being worked on and trying to make it as good as we can, so don't hold that as a permanent date, but that's the aim.
I'm excited. I want to know how it's going to go.
Yeah, it's something
Cool.
quite different, so...
I was going to say, when was the last time
Jed's
we had a
crying in the
Halloween
chat. Look at him. Bible thumping. Make your Bible thump for Jed, please.
When was the last time we had something quite like this as a event for Halloween? Something, well, it's pretty unique, I think, so far.
I really, really hope the players like it, and I'm not just going to be this new J-mod that comes into the team, sticks out the stuff that no one likes, and then get hated.
Worst
last year-
Halloween event ever.
Well, last year, Anti-Center was crashing the Grim Reaper's house
Yeah.
and wouldn't move off his sofa, so...
No, I really think that you should like it, and yeah, like I said, when I originally started designing, I wanted something a little different from going to Death's house and just helping him out, so...
I like it. I think you did a really nice job with it.
Thank you very much.
Like the dialogue. It was a great read.
Cool.
All right. Moving on. PTFO says, can the max hit dummy in the player-owned house also act as a demon so the arc lights effect works on it?
I assume that's
I suppose
possible,
so.
yeah.
Yeah. We can do, yeah. Why not? I'll begrudgingly say yes.
There's a check next to it. It's
I would
happening
only
now.
add it to the second version.
Yeah.
The problem is there's nothing to really indicate that he should be a demon.
Put a little bit of blood on it.
Why? What's blood got to do with demons?
Demons make you bleed.
Do humans not have blood?
Put like a symbol on the floor. It's like a demonic
symbol.
Yeah.
Demon skull hanging off the side.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Here's an interesting topic. Burnt Boozy says, Dragon Claws from raids. So, of course, with raids rewards being a topic of discussion lately, Dragon Claws have come back because why not?
Yeah.
Also, Abyssal Claws. What do you guys think about the entire idea?
Obviously, currently we have a survey running in game to get your opinions on the 3 raid armors. So if you haven't went to that survey yet, please go and fill in what you think about them. But ultimately, next week, based on the results of this survey as well, we will write a dev blog and publish it, which will include the outcomes of the armors from this poll and new rewards we want to offer. And declaws is something we want to consider. I mean, raids is this top-end endgame PVM content that we want it to be. It needs some big rewards.
So
We're better to actually offer claws. I mean, I don't know if it's going to pass, but why not offer it and see what you guys think?
It seems like of all the things we've offered, this is the most fitting for it to possibly go with. So
I don't want it to come from something that's more low level.
Right.
Than
It
this.
didn't make sense in the past for us to just randomly poll, do you want Dragon
Yeah.
Claws without any actual reason? There's a
It
reason.
also doesn't have to be dragon claws.
No,
it
I
can be
saw
as
the,
is.
Right, so
yeah, the
that's-
design on Reddit that I saw for
It can be
Claws
abyssal
was-
fingertips.
That's
Yeah.
the- that's
I
the
think it was a
follow-up.
joke
I
when
mean,
it first was suggested, but
I saw someone had a crack on making them, and it looked cool. And I do agree with some of the comments on there that Abyssal is kind of sort of an Oldscape theme of weapons that you don't have in RS3. You've only got the Abyssal
Yes.
Whip in RS3, and you've got the Abyssal Dagger, and other stuff. So I think Abyssal could be a really cool option.
Ash is suggesting we add Olm fingers.
I think it'd be fitting.
Obviously,
Yeah,
Abyssal
related.
probably wouldn't even fit in with raids, is the other thing. Like, we don't have Abyssal creatures in there, so whatever we would do, we would probably make it fit. It might end up with just being dragon, but
I would
yeah,
lean
we
towards
want to
dragon
open that
personally.
discussion, and we're also looking
Olm
at...
is a dragon.
Sorry?
Olm is a dragon, so lore sense does make sense to drop dragon claws.
So, that's true, that's true.
His fingers are red?
They can be.
They can be?
They're not.
A little bit of nail polish on there, they'll be red.
But yeah, so we want to open the discussion about other rewards as well. We want to get quite a lot of rewards in here because it's important. So if you've got any suggestions for big rewards, I mean, we're talking stuff on the sort of on the scale of the size of like armors and stuff that's going to be exciting long term to keep going to raids for. We've also been looking at the idea of like magic robes in terms of in the same tier of bandos and armadillo, that sort of thing as well. But we've got ideas thrown around, and we all want to open the discussion next week with that. But get your suggestions in, submit them to Reddit, submit them on Twitter, send them over anywhere you want, and we'll take a look at them.
I'm going to throw a curveball at the chat. Stop me if you think it's a bad idea. I'd like to just gather a general opinion from a straw poll. Abyssal Claws or Dragon Claws, which do you think it should be? Regardless of like if it's going to happen or not, we haven't said it's going to happen, obviously. But just which one they're in preference of seeing, because there's a certain group of players that play Old School that want to see it go its own separate way from the past and the future and what have you, and there's a certain group who just want to feed off the nostalgia and say it has to be Dragon Claws.
I have to say, D-claws look absolutely sick on the ground, don't they?
Well, this could be
one of the
interesting.
best looking floor objects ever.
The chat is looking pretty
The other
split.
thing I've seen come up on Reddit actually as an idea for reward is a bow that does more damage based on the magic level of your opponent. Very much like the Hex Hunter bow did in Dungeoneering before AUC. Something like that, balanced correctly for Old School.
Yeah.
I think would be cool. It would be a niche. It would fit because it's not going to just completely ruin any other ranged weapon, because it would be useful. It wouldn't be very good unless you're fighting something like with a really high magic level, like Zilliana, for example.
For the straw poll, if we can literally just say Dragon Claws or Abyssal Claws, option 1 or 2, or yes or no.
If they're Abyssal,
If
would
there's
they
a one or two
require a
option, that'd be
70
best.
attack?
Sorry?
If they're Abyssal, would they require 70 attack?
Ooh.
That's the other thing.
Let's just go off of the idea for the moment. Although, yeah, actually,
It would be nice to see the claws have a slightly, perhaps, a higher attack than standard. Like they, obviously, before they were 60, and when they came out, well, they were
The question
regarded
is,
as pretty
right,
good.
they really are a lot better than a level 60 weapon because of their spec. I mean, as a weapon, normally they were terrible, but their spec made them so much more powerful than the average level 60 weapon.
Since
But
this is happening, let me just run through a couple of things real quick. Okay, so problems with Dragon Claws. 1, they were cheaper than AGS, significantly cheaper. 2, lower attack requirement. 3, faster. That was really the biggest thing, really. You could do 2 specs in succession. AGS, obviously not so. So those are like the 3 main things that I can recall. Raising the attack, that's going to piss off a lot of 60 attack peers.
it does promote account diversity, I think. By having one at level 60, that's a good spec weapon. It allows you to have different builds.
Yeah.
While if it's 70 attack, you may as well be getting 75.
It's a very tricky one. Okay, wow, we have the results back.
Oh, hello.
Again, this is a harmless poll. Nothing's coming of this. Just wanted to gather your thoughts. Abyssal Claws or Dragon Claws? 63% leaning towards Abyssal Claws. Saying disregard the nostalgia.
So
that sounds awesome.
It seems like a lot more people are in favour of doing something unique for Old School. Which is cool.
This has been a fun discussion.
I'd be interested to see what you guys actually think of doing a D-clause item at all.
All right, should we move on? Potentially a question for Ash here, if he's mic'd up. If he's not, maybe you can yell. Gilded says, can you make sure Raids has an option for a loot screen that shows the entire group what loot everybody has received individually? This will help with clans with effectively splitting big drops without worry of scamming.
Well,
Okay.
it rather depends just how much information we can transmit to everyone's clients at the same time to see whether we can give that amount of information. What we don't want to have happen is that a big clan gets to the end of the raid, unlocks the loot, and promptly gets crashed offline because we tried to send too much information to everyone. So we may not be able to promise that, but we'll give what information we can. It just may not be able to show it graphically or in a particularly nice way.
What we can definitely do is indicate if there's a big item dropped, I think. Well, we might not tell you what smaller loot you got. We should be able to say, like say we added declaws, we should be able to say if someone got declaws, we'll say who.
My main concern was how comfortable Chris was during that conversation, because he certainly didn't look it.
I was thinking he's going to do it, I better unclip it too late.
It's the most uncomfortable I've ever seen you. So.
Very comfortable. Overly comfortable. Okay. Moving on. Ed Hicks says, can the magic imbue spell be faded out when it's on cooldown the same way the vengeance spell works?
I imagine it's probably possible.
It could. I mean, I don't know exactly how magic imbue is done, but I assume it could be done in a similar way to vengeance.
Okay.
There's probably a smaller crowd that are interested in it, but
A lot of the high-level players use magic imbue while they're doing other things. So they can still get magic XP.
yeah,
So,
a smaller crowd.
well, I think it's also been quite useful for dead man mode as well.
Yeah,
Right.
if it passes the poll, happily do it.
One to think on there. Yeah, actually make a note. We can look into that. Here we are. Let's grab one from the chat. Azuki Togi says, can there be an option in the bank that turns your left mouse button into a withdraw all / deposit all?
We can't change ops dynamically based on your variables. So, no, not really. And also we're running out of... Now, there's a way we've done it before, like on the magic spellbook for the Varrock teleports from the diary, which allows you to change the order of the teleports. But that's because we're essentially hiding one of them and using more than 2 options. We're not actually swapping them, we're just hiding one to do it by cheating. And we're basically out of space in the bank. There isn't many we've got left to play with, so...
Okay.
No, we can't do it without an engine feature, ultimately.
It's very rare to hear a no, actually. It's kind of surprising. Usually it's like, well, we could do that. Or
But this
yes.
concerns engine, so...
Yeah. Speaking of engine, I
Get
think
mod
this
map
next,
mechanic on it.
I think this next question is engine again. Robert says, next Deadman season, can your 5 protected stats transfer over to the tournament? There's a lot of really solid reasons backing this.
Just protected stats.
Yeah, so just your 5 protected stats. So let me just run through the reasons. All right. This would create a ton of different strategies. So instead of it being a copy and paste strategy, what they're used to doing repeat, you could change things up. Make PKing more active and help sustain the longevity of the season throughout the entire month. So what some people do with the tournament is they get to the top 2,000 and then they just don't play. And then they wait for the tournament and then they start taking it seriously. This would actually encourage them to play the entire month long consistently, provided they were working towards something they could save.
I think this will help enable clans more, because you will have groups of people that will protect specific stats, such as things like Slayer, attack, and strength, and then the first thing they can do is, okay, right, I'll go grab myself a whip right at the beginning of the game.
I mean, they already do that.
So
but they still have to train for it. But if they're protecting the stats, then I think it invites clans to.
So with the
be a lot
current
more
season,
powerful.
we did propose taking all your stats over, and receive a very mixed reaction to doing it. Mm-hmm. This is on a smaller scale, so it's just the ones you protect, and other ones you'd have to still train. But in Deadman Combat, it's sort of the ones you need. It wouldn't obviously be 5, because it's only, is it 2?
It's 2 combat.
2 combat skills?
Scaling, yeah.
So it wouldn't be massive. The other thing is how we actually do it, because we'd have to transfer those stats from one save game to another save game, or have a way of wiping your whole save game apart from those stats. So there's a number of issues here, is whether it would actually be a good thing to do, whether you guys want it, but whether we can actually achieve it as well. Right. There's issues with Herblaw, for example. If you've protected Herblaw and it's level 10, for instance, and we wipe your save game, you haven't completed that quest that gets you level 3 that is required for the rest of the Herblaw skill. and you shouldn't be level 3 herbal or higher, but you would be level 10 because we've transferred that.
That's a
So
good point.
there are little issues like that we have to solve, basically.
Yeah.
And we don't really have much way of editing save games
And they can't repeat
when
that
you're
twice.
offline, so there isn't too much we can do. We'd have to investigate a way to do it, and it wouldn't be straightforward.
All right, shame. That's a really good idea. Chris Goody says, can Fossil Island have the monsters with the older graphics as discussed last week?
Didn't we poll changing the guards and it failed quite badly?
Yeah, but last
I
week
felt
we were,
60 something.
last week we were talking about, just in case anybody who wasn't here, bringing back the old models of like, you know, the old retro dragons and
Yeah.
stuff like that, like really old looking.
See, I think the problem is that a lot of people want the old 2004 graphics, a lot of people want RuneScape HD graphics, and then some just like how it is, and we might as well just keep it how it is because that's just more consistent.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess we can poll it, but it depends what monsters
It depends
are
on the design of Fossil Island
Yeah,
as well, because
yeah,
likely
yeah.
the creatures on there are likely to be new ones as well. So,
For the
but
record-
the design of Fossil Island is still very early. Like, it hasn't really started beyond the concept. So,
I think the idea here, obviously, is that Fossil Island, as we've stated, is over a decade old. It's like the oldest idea ever.
Yeah,
So this is the
I think
most fitting
so.
place for something like this. But yeah, it is a controversial one. A lot of yeses, a lot of nos.
Well, we could have a single dungeon with like a really old dragon in there,
Yeah,
just to appease the people.
I think as an artist, you just don't want to see these old models.
I quite like the nostalgic models as well. I did give them the old demon mask with
That's
the
right,
treasure
yeah.
trails because they were asking for it, and it's a nice bit of nostalgia. See, I don't mind the nostalgia. It's
how
just,
did you feel, by the way, that your unicorn head got modelled at RuneFest?
it was amazing.
It was
the greatest
amazing,
outfit.
right?
Okay, moving on. Yeah, Toter Guy says, what will the smaller loot be from raids?
As of yet, basically undecided. I assume that means smaller loot as in just a standard drop table, like Onyx bolts or
Yeah.
rune plate bodies. Yeah, it's not done yet. I mean, we have a point system in place, but we haven't done the actual loot generation at the end of a dungeon yet. And that's generally one of the last things we do because it involves the balancing based on what the rest of the dungeon has. And when some of the bosses haven't been done, we can't really put a value on what the drop table should give.
But we have some mid-tier weapons and armors.
Yeah, we have the some of the dragon stuff that passed the ball down in there, which would be less of a unique drop than
We need to be careful not
Whatever
to
we
mention
add after
anything
that.
because then it crashes.
But no, we don't know exactly what we're going to put on the drop table yet. That'll be one of the last things we do.
Okay. Jack Oscar says, can Scorpia have its respawn timer reduced so that, like the Mullen Calphite Queen, world hopping is no longer required to get max kills per hour?
If the respawn time is causing people to have to hop, I wouldn't mind reducing it.
I'd be curious to see if it's the same as the other wieldy bosses like Callisto and Venenatis, and effectively just put it in line with that, because they are effectively the 4 bosses that were put together, weren't they?
Yeah.
So,
The other thing, Scorpion's in a cave, they're not on the surface, so that might warrant it being different.
Scorpio doesn't have a very long spawn timer, but because it's so quick to kill,
Yeah,
you're missing out on quite a chunk if you don't have.
fair enough.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we can look at it based on what they are. We can see what we want to do.
We've got time for, how long do you want for your bit? 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
Yeah, I don't need too long. It's just
Okay.
showing off the outfit and a few animations.
Let's get through a few more
Spoiled.
questions here then.
Yeah.
Neptune says, can personal sounds from fishing, fletching, and woodcutting be moved out of area sounds into regular sounds?
There's quite a lot of places they're called in there, isn't there?
There is, but
I suppose it's probably not too difficult to do. It's just time consuming to go through and do it.
I'd be more
You can do
curious
it.
to find out how many players actually use sounds.
quite a few do actually for
I
skeleton.
do, and then when I say, oh yeah, I play with sounds on, it's normally just Dan's game or
Yeah.
whatever. So
There you go.
Particularly
Put a
for,
tick and I'll do it when I get time.
But ultimately, if you're sitting next to someone in the bank and they're going with a bit of wood and scraping a knife down it, you would hear it. So it depends. Do you want to break the realism of RuneScape, or do you want it to be more convenient for your skill?
Then you go to the Varric mining anvil, there's 400 people, so all you can hear is ting, ting, ting until you're finished.
In terms of like playing Deadman mode, when I was woodcutting, I'd want to have my sounds on, so that way I can only hear the chopping, and then I would know, 1, when the tree's down, and 2, when a PK is attacking me, if I'm like not paying too much attention. So I can totally respect that if we can give that out.
But no, it is helpful when you're skilling to know when you've stopped or that sort of thing. So
Right. Upper says, suggestion here, saying, double the drop rate of giant key from hill giants in the wilderness.
I actually saw this and really liked it.
Yeah, I like
That's
it
a
as
good idea. I don't know if people saw my tweet go out earlier this week, but I did a Mac K and released some data based on Hill Giant. I think in its first 4 days, Thursday to Sunday, we had 32,000 giant or obor kills collated across the whole game, which I thought was kind of cool for a free
it's
to
quite a lot when you've got to get the key.
Yeah.
Like that is quite a few key drops. I believe we found out which player had the most, right? And it was
It was a friend.
with like 53
So they
kills.
did it for 10 hours.
Well, I think was it 50, 47 or 53 or something like that.
Yeah, 53 because
But-
he did a video on 50 kills and so went max efficiency killing hill giants with a cannon and everything to get keys. So.
But I would like to use some of the data that we got from the data analysis guys to perhaps just occasionally tweet out some random things like how many abyssal demons have been killed in the past week or just odd stuff like that, because I know the players love
Yeah, we have
data.
a
We
lot.
love data.
We got a large batch of data like a week and a half ago, including all the pets. Now I know for a while players have been asking for how many pets are in game. We give
Was
them
it
out. The last time we gave them out was last October.
Yeah,
So it's about time we give to them again, and now we have them constantly updating.
But-
This is a drumroll moment.
This will have to be something for Matt to do, because I think he might want to steal the
Doesn't
data
Matt
from
want
us.
to do a data stream?
Yes.
We could start using some of that if we were to do like
We got a lot of
It's
PVM
on the
data
list.
streamers. It's
Yeah. In addition to the data stream, I want to do another Mythbusters thing, but I'm thinking instead of another Mythbusters stream, because that was really difficult. Some of them were kind of fillers. I think you guys, if you watched it, you probably knew. It's difficult trying to fill an hour, because for whatever reason
Yeah.
I said I have to fill an hour. There's probably like enough for a solid like 45 minutes of really solid ones, but I think what I'd like to do is a video series instead. So just split
Matt
it up
said
into like
book it in.
35.
book it in.
Book it in. He said it to get me to say it, but you can book it in.
You are sitting where he sits, so.
Well, that's why I
stream.
just provided data when
Yeah.
we had construction. I was providing the. It's like just a data chair.
So I expect a data stream and Mythbusters videos in the near future. That being said, though, let's jump to the next question then. Oh, and we like the idea of doubling the drop rate of giant keys in the
Yeah,
wilderness.
pet raids are interesting, especially for the new skill pets, because they've only just went out fairly recently. So
Can someone stop
it's
that?
actually interesting looking at the numbers, and I'm pretty damn happy with the numbers that came out. They're very much in line with how many people have been training the
Kieran's
skills.
getting as excited as Matt about data here.
It's interesting. It really is interesting
I
when you're
just-
looking at the graphs of
I
things
just want
you've
some-
added to the game and you want to see.
I just want someone to stop Matt from putting dad jokes in the chat. It's really off-putting.
Oh, is he? I haven't.
All right, I'll do it. No Jojo says, have you considered making the new armors raids only? And what about having it so that they don't degrade in raids?
I would happily not have them degrade in raids. Instead of making them raids only, that sort of defeats the point.
You
Yeah.
almost expect them to be better
Because
in raids?
you'd use them just to get the same. The whole idea is you can get them and sell them and make money from doing raids. So
Ash
Yeah.
doesn't like it.
Neither does the chat.
I think
I mean, in terms of not degrading in raids, I think that's cool. Means they're useful in terms of using it there, but making it only usable there, I think is not a good idea.
no.
Okay. Kengar says, what's happened with the skin colors shown last week?
So this is a bit of bad news, I'm afraid, but unfortunately they're not going to be coming out with Halloween. I'm very sorry for that. I did push and we did our best to try and get them, but there are more pressing matters for Engine, and yeah, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Next year, or whenever we get an opportunity in the future to offer them.
Next question. Update on boss high scores. There it is.
As in high scores for like how many boss kills you've got, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Would love to do them, but it does still take a little bit of web team time, so it's a matter of waiting for them to be able to find the time to be able to help us out with that.
I'm trying to remember the name of this last question.
It takes the web team less time than it used to, though. We're in a better situation for adding that sort of thing now.
I can't remember it, though, whatever. Next question. Any plans to revive Last Man Standing? What is it, Ronan? Come on.
Hang on.
What's going on?
Ryan's trying to put it on screen.
We had,
You really struggled with that one, Ronan. I don't know.
I love that.
We literally waited so the question was on screen.
Last 3 questions weren't asked, but they had to be asked, so we got to create names for them. So we're like Pogman, Dance Game, Floorhead, whatever we want.
Floorhead.
Okay. Last Man Standing. So a couple updates on it. We're doing a high stakes weekend, November 4th. That's right when the Deadman season closes, so you guys can finish your PKing in Deadman, head over, it'll be active. We're also going to put Dragon Claws in, that'll help it out. Dragon Claws in just for that weekend. So it's a 3-day little event there. With a few new items, so new KO weapons, just mixing things up in general. For the future though, Ronan mentioned something that's really interesting that we can maybe explore, which was the possibility of looking at a smaller map with less players required, meaning you wouldn't have to wait for 48 people, instead maybe you have to just wait for 12, and there could be several games going, and you know, that sounds really cool, so we can look into that, but yeah. Be on the lookout for the high stakes weekend, November 4th, that's going to be really cool.
Another thing to add to Last Man Standing, we did an update today where you can now get the music track in the lobby, which a lot of people asked for, so... Right. You'll probably see people in the Last Man Standing lobby, but they might just be going for the music.
All right, maybe our last question today, I think. Oh no, we've got a couple of suggestions after this. All right, real quick. Philly says, can you make the Artie Cloak Max Cape brighter?
I thought, as far as I know, it's the same shade as the existing.
I didn't choose the colours, but I assume they just take them straight from the current cloak.
I can't show the camera what it says on the bottom of that duck. Did you see that?
Yeah, oh, we know.
Yeah.
Who wrote that on there?
I mean, if there's lots of people who think that the cape should be lighter, then maybe, but I think it is the same shade, or meant to be the same shade as
one was put on Reddit and it was like really vibrant, but I don't think it's, I don't know, I'll have to compare the 2 capes to actually get
We've had an awful lot of feedback saying that the cape looks amazing as well,
Yeah.
so I'll be less inclined to
I
change.
compared the 2 and I preferred the one we put out than the one that was put on Reddit.
Right.
That's my input.
I think it's consistent with the other capes as well that you combined.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we're going to get through a couple of suggestions here that have...
It's a 4-letter word and it rhymes with duck. That's what it says on the bottom of the duck. Right, next question.
Okay. We're going to go through a couple suggestions here with images. We're going to throw those up on the screen. First one's from, there's no name here, it just says, allow us to fill door hotspots. Oh, sorry, one suggestion. Hello. There it is. So, an excellent Photoshop job here. Oh, paint, even better.
I really
To be
like
fair, if
this
you
idea.
did it with paint, it's impressive. If it's done with Photoshop, it's not.
But
Quite true.
I think it would look really nice, but Modash knows more about construction, whether it would be possible.
It would mean storing a lot more
I
data.
think we should get Modash to come and cuddle up with Mod Archie again, because he loved it so much the first time.
There you go. Right.
So, the answer is that what was the question? Oh yeah, about doors in hand, really. It would need to remember your choice for each of those doors, and that gets kind of awkward if there's multiple, if it's connected to another room, I suspect. We do have more data space available for each room now, so I think we could try doing something like that. Probably. It'd get a bit awkward if you've got a one-sided view, of course. Now, I wouldn't rule it out, but it would take a long time to find out for sure, and we're kind of rammed at the moment, sorry.
Thank you, Ash.
Duck on head.
Second suggestion, we're going to get through this real quick before we head over to Mod West with the sneak peek of the week. Saying, allow Amulet of Cat Speak to see exactly how long until your kitten becomes a cat.
I think it's quite a nice little feature, and I don't think it's probably going to be too difficult
It's funny that the cat
to do.
I
got
think,
nose.
I think I could do it.
We
I
know.
feel like I'm going to grow into a cat in 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, I don't think we quite do it like that.
The
but-
question is, if you have an amulet of cat speak on, can you see the timer? Because the cat can't talk to you.
Maybe, I mean, rubbing
can
the
talk
amulet
with
of
the
cat
cat.
speak to find out how you should talk to your cat and ask it.
Yeah, I mean, we know how long it takes to grow, so I'm sure we can put it in somewhere else. So you
But
can
I would
check
want
it.
that. I want that information to be displayed somewhere in game.
Yes.
Because it's annoying just having your kitten. You don't know when it's going to grow.
Yeah, definitely put a tick next to it.
Because we don't have like a pet interface like was added with summoning, so we can't put it there.
Okay, awesome. That being said, let's head over to Mod West with the sneak peek of the week.
Halloween. As you might recognise it from somewhere.
Hang on, I'm having some trouble with the mic. Just one sec.
Start yelling.
Start yelling. Is my mic on? Yeah, it's definitely on. Cool. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, cool. So as you might see, might guess where this is from. Die. No, it's clearly a banshee. Can you not tell? Look at that face.
I think he's just really shocked.
Spook warning. Anyway, and also the other item is a knife. So here we got some unique running animations here. Let's get a bit zoomed in here. So when you run, you hold the knife up. Let's run a bit further, as if you're about to kill someone. As well as walking as well. And yeah, a nice
You're not
cool...
about to kill someone. You're about to go and prepare some food in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, of course. Cutting some strawberries or something. So yeah, I put on a cool little slashing animation. I think I took the animation from the Tide Y1i clean-up thing, because it just looked like a cool slash attack. So that's what we're going with here. There's also it does pretty much no damage apparently. What's that going on there? Oh, it's just a fun weapon anyway. So, what else? Okay, just does it not do any damage? I swear it has stats.
It'll be a fun weapon.
Run from the goblins.
Run from the goblins.
It's not going to do damage.
Goodbye, goblin.
It'll have a very minute chance to do damage.
So if anyone's wondering why there's no gloves and boots, you can probably find quite a few gloves and boots that you could wear with this. Mine boots, gloves of silence. They're black gloves and boots. There's not really much you can do with that sort of stuff. And also you might be seeing a little funny thing there with the ready animation. I reused the animation from the ice. Chalk ice guy. So he kind of licks his knife a little bit, but that won't be final. I'm going to edit that because it's a bit weird. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's the Halloween costume.
So yeah,
That was the most rubbish attempt at an applause.
Well, for a rubbish attempt at killing a goblin.
Tried.
They're saying keep it, don't
Yeah,
think about it.
just
Keep the.
I discussed this with Tom
night
earlier. I said keep it in there because it's just spooky.
yeah.
I guess it is sort of fitting to the
Yeah,
character.
I really hope you guys like
Too
it,
spooky
and it
for me.
sort of gives you a bit of a hint at the kind of thing that will be coming with Halloween. And yeah, I love the walk and run animations. I can't wait to see 200 people all with the robes just running around like lunatics.
Imagine a clan of that.
Imagine putting something like that in Dead Man mode.
That's rock,
a
like
clan of people charging you. You just,
you stood mining those rune rocks in the world and you just see 50 people coming towards you.
Spooky.
That's great. Okay, well, that is going to conclude our Q&A. Yep, again, we're just collecting myths, so if you head to the Reddit, you can find the sticky thread. I'm going to keep that up until next week. If you have any myths you want to see answered, or kind of like did you knows or anything really genuinely interesting like that, post there. Aside from that, guys, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week.
right.
Bye.